There is a great power in light to make change happen. My journey toward this discovery began when I was a child. Oftentimes when I had fever, I would have a similar experience in which I would see myself in a slowly falling drop of water, and in this drop of water I would see myself in another drop of water, and this would continue recursively. And as a result, my perception of space and time would change, and all of a sudden it felt like I had popped out of space and time into this calm realm which was just defined by peace. And I began to associate this realm with light. It wasn't until years later when I got introduced to Einstein's theory of relativity and his description of the constant speed of light and how space and time can change based on how close they approach that speed, that it occurred to me that I may have been experiencing this theory of relativity viscerally as a child. So I got very interested in light and I wanted to understand it much more deeply. Some of the things that I found were pretty astounding to me. One, every single atom in the universe, whether of animate matter or inanimate matter, is forged either in the light of the suns or the math of supernova. In other words, what we are, what everything is, deeply has light inside it. If I consider a small iota of space around me, it's packed with millions of photons. And these photons we know are carriers of light. So these photons carry infinite amount of information from the surrounding environment, stream this through our eyes, and recreate in our brains an image of the world. In other words, the action of photons deeply grounds us in one massive light-based operating system. Even if we consider nutrition of all living beings, we can trace it back to a simple process called photosynthesis, which again depends on the light of the sun. So it's fair to say that without light, we wouldn't exist. But even if we consider our current environment, the infrastructure that exists technologically is derived from different wavelengths of what we call the electromagnetic spectrum, which is another word for light. So whether technology is based on radio waves or microwaves or infrared or visible light or ultraviolet or X-rays or gamma rays, these all derive from light. And without it, our current world wouldn't be what it is. Even if we extrapolate into the future, then it's been said that quanta and optics are going to be instrumental in the future. And both these things, quanta and optics, are derivative from light. And so without light, neither our past would exist, nor our current, nor our future. And yet we barely consider light. We don't have a conscious relationship with it. The question is, if this was reversed, if we began to develop a conscious relationship with it, what kind of new technologies would evolve as a result, and how would our lives be different? Now, one day, many decades ago, I was experiencing a very difficult relationship with somebody, and I was at my wit's end about what to do. I was in India at the time, and I was sitting under a big tree, and all of a sudden it occurred to me to begin to see this person in a sphere of light. So I did that for a few days, and then almost by miracle, she began to treat me entirely differently. Now, I could call that a miracle or it could seem miraculous, but I believe that I had actually tapped into a fundamental technology of light, a repeatable process by which some physical circumstances had changed as a result of my imagining things in light. So armed with these experiences, the fractal experience of the drop within a drop as a child, and now this multidimensionality of light, where imagination made something physically changed, I really wanted to express or articulate what I was perceiving as this power in light. So I began a journey of articulating this, and I chose the medium of mathematics because it appealed to me as a more artistic way to begin to capture what light is. So I wrote a series of 10 books that belong to this Cosmology of Light set, and basically in that framework, what occurred to me is that light has a fundamental place. Everything arises from light. Light's native state is something where it travels infinitely fast, And in that state, there's infinite amount of information and potential, and light can project itself at slower speeds. And then through the device of quanta, some of that infinite potential can materialize where light projects itself at slower speeds. And we know that in our universe, light is scientifically known to travel at a constant speed of 186,000 miles per second. And to me, that's deliberate, that's an intentionality, so that materialization can occur in a certain way. But the point being that it's all framed, the medium for this is light. So if we begin to develop a different kind of relationship with light, if we understand what light is more intimately, my proposal is that we can change things much more easily. Why do I say that? Because light is fundamentally agnostic to power. Light doesn't care where you come from. It doesn't care what the color of your skin is. It's the most democratic instrument. It doesn't care what your bank balance is. And if you can access it, then you can have the power to change things just by visualizing light in a particular kind of way. Now, I had accidentally tapped into this process of seeing a person in a sphere of light, and then something changed. But what I want to propose to you is that when you get into any kind of difficult situation going forward, just simply remember that and re-see that situation in real time or in retrospect or before going into it in a sphere of light. And then the information field that surrounds that circumstance, that connects you with that circumstance, will begin to change, and that situation is going to have a chance to evolve differently. But don't take my word for it. Try it. Try it on a couple of situations that are similar, and on one situation, experiment with seeing it in light. In another situation, don't, and begin to see how these situations might evolve differently. And if you do, I want to propose that, in fact, something of the power of light to make change happen might get revealed to you.